It's 6 o'clock, September 24th, 2019. I call to order the City of Kennedy's special city council meeting. A quorum is present. Amanda, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Briones?
Present.
Councilor Wynn?
Here.
Councilor Sines?
Here.
Councilor Kona? Here. Councilor Meyer?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Councilor Wynn, would you say the prayer, please, sir?
Well, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for all the days. We ask you to watch over us and help us to accomplish the task at hand. That you would give us knowledge, understanding, and total kindness so that we can accomplish the task before us. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone sign up for citizen comments?
Yes, Clara Ramos.
Clara Ramos.
Good evening. And again, I wrote it down so that I wouldn't miss out on any points, and I didn't want to, get caught up on anything. But again, I come before this council to bring to your attention about some serious concerns in this area. I have requested for some information regarding permits and permit payment receipts for those fees. Folks have contacted me because they fear retaliation if they do it, since they live here. Well, I'm here to say that I fear no one except for our Lord and Savior. I am here to complete a mission that I have been called on. I have requested those permits and receipts for work that has been done at 415 Victoria Street and also at 605 Carnage Street. The structure at Victoria Street was built either the latter part of August or the beginning of September. The structure at 605 Carnage Street is a hall at Our Lady of Peace Catholic Church property. That has been ongoing since 2017. We have great concerns for the Jamaica will be held in a building that does not have certified occupancy or has not been inspected to receive the occupancy and does not have a completed sprinkler system, and I'm not sure about the alarms. And no fire marshal should allow a building to operate without any of the above. If he does, then he needs to be reported to the State Fire Marshal's office in Austin, Texas. I have spoken to someone there, and they are waiting on my complaint forms for the inspection and also for licensing. And that person would be Robin Delgado. I'm wondering why the city has allowed for them to have a water well. Well, after calling the Archdiocese in San Antonio, I was informed that the water well was because they had low water pressure from the city. So they had to build a bigger water well. And as of Friday, when I took pictures of it, it had a leak. And on my way in, I stopped to check, and it still has a leak at the water pump. Come on. So, also, there is a concern about cross-contamination. If there is a cross-contamination device, and has it been approved by the EPA. All of this should have paper trail, and I'm hoping to receive all of that information. Let's see. Also, I have requested for the permits from the electricians and plumbing and also whoever built the structure. These were all requested on Friday, September the 20th. My next concern is why are employees using city vehicles to deliver materials on company time to the city secretary's home. The city employee was carrying 2x4s and dumping them in her yard while his vehicle was parked in front of Jason Smart's mother's home. That is just on the next corner from the 415 residence. They say God places you in places where you need to be, and apparently this was meant for me to see with my own eyes. After filling out the forms that I had requested for the Freedom of Information, I went back to the City Hall and reported what I had seen to Deborah Hahn and also to the Chief of Police, and they both stated that they just work there and they're doing their job. Deborah did say I could speak to the city manager about it, but he wasn't in for the rest of the day. I asked for Denise because Denise was the one that had handed me the forms, and she was also gone for the rest of the day, and it was barely 3 o'clock. I then asked for Amanda and was told that she had stepped out and didn't know when she would return. So I left thinking anyone can do as they please while getting paid by tax dollars. Isn't that taking advantage of the people when you're supposed to be for the people? So I'm here tonight to plead with the City Council to consider the safety of all parishioners and their constituents in the matter of opening the doors of Our Lady of Peace Hall. It's best to have all ducks in a row and to be safe rather than sorry. As I stated, I did contact the Archdiocese of Victoria and spoke to, and I can't remember his name, but I have it written down. I know his last name is Londown. And anyway, he stated that he has been having meetings before, and he was told that there was no paper trail. But he also stated that he was not going to allow for the parish to open their doors without the certification of occupancy. And he was going to be making a call to the parish hall today after he got off the phone from talking with me. He is also concerned, and he says that those doors will not open until they get all the paperwork that they have been requesting as well. So I'm here today to ask each one of the council members as well to ask for that information. I think this is very vital. You need to have this to know exactly what's going on. I think that there's been an abuse of power, and that abuse of power needs to be stopped. So on these requests, I did ask for them on Friday.
Can you find a place to wrap it up, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you find a spot to stop, please?
Oh, okay. Okay. So I should be getting them no later than October the 2nd. But in the meantime, it would be unwise and unsafe to open those doors to the hall. Thank you, and I pray that you think about this when you're making your decision tonight.
Anyone else sign up?
No, sir.
Is there anyone here that wishes to speak that did not have the opportunity to speak during public comment? Is there anybody here that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. What is your name?
Patrick Tam.
Patrick Tam.
Oh, when I asked,
Go ahead, sir.
they should have said, you're on vacation.
Good evening, Council. My name is Patrick Tam. I'm here to represent Our Lady Queen of Peace. Me and my wife have been put on the picnic board this year, or fall festival, and this is all new to me and whatnot. I know there's some concerns about the building and all. I didn't have no idea all this was going on. I just heard to that extent. I was just here to ask for permission to use the building this weekend. We've been in the process of preparation here and thought it was going to be up far and in use here. The sprinkler system is the last thing that we need to finish with. The tank just got delivered today. Originally it was supposed to have been delivered in July. We were told September the 4th. It just got off the truck sometime here today, and we are running behind on that end of it due to certain circumstances. As far as the building goes, I cannot answer all the things I just heard here and whatnot, but it's been in a process of the last 3 years of getting this thing completed. And there again, I wish we were at the understanding we were going to have this done here, and we're not quite finished. But as far as any safety concerns other than a sprinkler system, which is a major deal these days, I understand, but there's other facilities here that don't have sprinkler systems and whatnot. Even in the city hall, I believe doesn't. It's grandfathered in and whatnot. But, so due to any concern other than that, I can't. They kind of threw me for a curve there. That's all she had to say there. So. And to her regard, it wasn't the Archdiocese of Victoria, it'd be the Archdiocese of San Antonio that Kenedy did 11%. So basically, I was asking for y'all's permission to use the building here. We got everything set up and planned for this coming weekend, so take that into consideration for us. That's it.
Anyone else sign up?
No, sir.
Is there anyone that did not have the opportunity to sign up that is interested in speaking under public comment? Going once? No? Okay. Thank you, guys. Item number 6, consideration and possible action in regard to ordinance number 19-8, an ordinance making appropriations for the support of the city of Kennedy, Texas for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2020, appropriating money to a sinking and interest fund to pay principal and interest on the city's indebtedness, utilizing surplus funds from the water and sewer IMM account and capital improvement account for water and wastewater facility upgrades, and adopting the annual budget for the city of Kenedy for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. Any movement?
Make a motion to consider action on item 6 on the agenda.
Second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. No discussion?
Well, my only thing that I had that I wanted to say was, we had talked about the 3% and talked about leaving it in there so we could make some decisions on it. And that's my only piece. I want to make sure that we are going to follow through with that and not let it fall by the wayside. Going to come up with an actual plan for appraisals and bring it back to us, and we won't do anything with that until that's done.
Yes, sir.
I found an appraisal document that the city has had, but I can't find that it's been used. I'm about a third to halfway into a new system that I think will serve you well, and hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you in 2 weeks at the October, at least a rough draft at the October meeting, so y'all can look at that then and decide if that's the direction you want to continue to go in terms of having an employee appraisal program. But it's y'all, if the funds stay in, it's very easy for y'all to say, we do not expend these funds until after the 1st of January when we see it, when we have a new appraisal system in place and see how that's going to work. It's your call.
So with this agenda item, the 3% is in there, and would not be, the 3% wouldn't be activated until the council uses the city's current appraisal plan or
A new one.
a new one?
You
Okay.
can hold it until a new one's in place. We just need your direction on that as part of it, that the funds are not expended until such time as council approves a new appraisal.
And Leslie, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Did we include time management, biometric time management in the budget?
It is in there.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that?
Can you just say, I mean, I'm okay with it, but can you explain what that exact system is?
It's time block.
Okay.
It's a biometric time clock where your fingerprint, retina
Okay.
eye, thumbprint, no fob, so I can't hand you my fob. And then on the other side of that, you have employees that actually, they work, and sometimes they're not compensated for time that they're at work, because there's no system right now. I don't know any city that does not use time management. I've searched high and low and can't find one. So I asked for it last year, but it didn't happen, so hopefully this year you guys will approve it and we'll start using it.
Again, once it's approved, it's up to y'all to decide what type of system you want to use, if you want to use a system, or move that money to some other line at some point in the future.
What's your take on it, Mr. Brown? On time clocks. Right now, we have people going home with company vehicles, so in the morning, if they're on the way over here and there's a leak or somebody needs something, we stop here, but if we're on time clocks and we're gonna be taking accurate times when we clock in and all that, you'll see people coming in late, and they're gonna say, well, I stopped here to help such and such, because we're in a
That's
city
a
vehicle.
problem.
And that could turn into a big problem later on down the road because of the tardiness.
But that can also be fixed by the supervisor, correct?
Right.
That's
Could be
not-
fixed by the supervisor.
That's not a problem. If you've ever worked with time clocks, every time clock system you have the ability that where the administrator can make the adjustments. You can set it to where you have one person that can make the adjustments, or the supervisor can make the adjustments. But if a person is in a system where they have a time clock system and they're taught how to use it properly, it should not create problems, because if they have to stop, they let the supervisor know they have to stop. The supervisor's aware of it, and the supervisor knows what time it is when they made that call, and they're able to adjust their time accordingly. It is a very basic system of being accountable, and that's something that we should be doing.
I've also seen.
I've seen it get abused as well.
Yeah, I know we've discussed it, and I'm on the fence, I don't know. I don't know that we're at that point. I think if we start holding our supervisors accountable for their employees, that might be a start. If that doesn't work, then maybe go on to,
But all of this will be part of that.
Either way, you'd have the funds to do
To do
it,
it.
whichever way you decided to go.
so if we didn't do anything, money's still there to do something
Right.
later, okay.
I just don't know why we wouldn't owe it to the people. I mean, we keep up with fuel, we keep up with everything else, and time is one of the biggest expenses here.
Exactly.
I just wonder, the one question I have is maybe in the line item, instead of saying biometric time management system, maybe we should just say time management system. I know at the county we use Time Clock Plus. It's not biometric, but it is still a system we utilize, and you have a specific PIN assigned to you.
If that's the way you want it to read, it's council's choice.
What if I give my PIN to someone else?
That's the terminatable offense is what it should be,
How do you know?
because they clock in and it wasn't at work.
Right.
Because then the supervisor, though,
The
they would catch
supervisor is
it.
the one that is responsible for making sure that don't happen.
Yeah, do you guys feel like that's a better system over biometric?
For what we have guys doing, I think so, because you're gonna have that unique situation that you're gonna have to deal with, where that person is not clocked in, but they're on the clock. They're doing the job that they're hired to do because it's necessary for it to be done. And they haven't had the opportunity to come to the building where the clock is at so they can do what they need to do and then go back to that problem.
So for an example, for like anybody in the public works department or any of the officers, they could download the app on their phone. Because I know our sheriff's deputies, on their county issued phones, they have Time Clock Plus.
Right. And that brings up another valid point. Don't we want them to show up to the building to punch in? Don't we want them to come to
It
the building?
depends
and
on,
say,
it depends on what their job task is. You know,
Say if there's a
If I'm-
wreck, if there's
Yeah.
an accident and an officer comes to work, he's not gonna be able to come to work and clock in and go.
There's always an exception to everything.
yeah,
But
I mean-
if somebody could access a time system on their telephone, there's no reason to show up to work. We'll just punch in and say, hey, I'm in.
Well,
No,
it
that-
does create a documentable trail.
right. And that's also a secondary way for them to clock in that situation. An officer's on the way to work and there's an accident and they stop. It takes a second to clock in. At that point, they are on the clock and working that accident. And when they get wherever they gotta go to the building later to do the report and everything, they've already been clocked in. Otherwise, they can't clock in, they gotta call the supervisor, something else has gotta happen in order for them to be able to clock in.
I'm not saying let's not go biometric, I'm just saying in the line item to be transparent.
Why don't we just put it, or slash time clock?
Yeah.
That way it
Yeah,
can be
that's
whatever
fine.
we decide we choose.
Could
Once
do the
we,
research and
right,
present y'all
present me
multiple
with some
options to choose
And then we can look at them and see what would work best for Kenedy, for our employees here, whether it be using your finger or hand code. But I wouldn't change it, I would just say put / time clock, just so we know that that's what we're looking for.
Any other discussion?
The only question I had on the Public Works Director, I might have asked you about that, but where did we get that amount from? Did we just,
We increased that salary item a little bit, just in case we find somebody that you feel should be compensated at a higher rate than what the salary is current at.
okay, but we don't
That's
have
the
to pay
cap.
that?
You
Okay.
pay what you feel comfortable paying.
That's
You
the
negotiate.
top out right there.
But that would be the very top we could do. And I think if that's the top end, that gives us a chance to attract maybe a better candidate.
And did we post that already?
It has been posted.
And what are the requirements that we're asking for that?
Water license, we've got to have a water license, driver's license, prior experience in project management, and street, water, and sewer experience.
The water license, what are they actually required to have?
I think it's a Class C.
Have to have a C. We've asked for
Minimum.
a C or above.
That makes no sense to me. You got a guy that has a B and an A over there, and you're gonna put a C over him? Makes no sense to me.
Well, I'm
Why
not saying
would
we're
we
going
do
to
that?
hire a C. I'm just saying they have to have a
That's the.
Class C
Minimum
is what the law
requirements.
I know,
requires.
but the minimum is someone that could get hired, and if they had a C, you say you could hire them. Why would you put a C over an A and a B?
Because he might be better qualified in a lot of other areas than.
You can't run that RO with that C.
Yes, you can. By
I don't know where you guys got those
TCEQ
qualifications,
requirements.
but
You
those
can
are
run it with
bare
Class C.
minimal requirements, but you up the amount of pay, $80,000. I'm shocked.
We're not saying we're paying it, we're just saying if we have a quality, if we have somebody
You
come
have
in, for
somebody that is an
example,
A.
with an A, with multiple certifications at various levels and lots of project management, it's up to y'all. We're gonna decide and talk about whether or not where we set that salary.
I think if they're gonna be a public work director, they should have a pretty high license.
They
I
should have all
wouldn't
of them.
consider C at all. I really wouldn't.
Okay.
And more than a high school diploma, in my opinion.
I wouldn't consider that, not for somebody who's gonna be running the public works. I just don't see that in it for that amount of money.
We'll see what we get, and then we'll make some decision. Because we're taking applications does not mean we hire from who applies. We can always repost it and check those requirements. We don't see anybody.
You guys make the rules, decide what you want them to post and what you're gonna accept. Because whatever you approve tonight, that's what we're living by.
But even with that position, and I look at all the other department heads as well, and they're all getting paid pretty well. I think they should all be certified in something. Have a license and a certification, and when we're paying them $55,000-$60,000, they ought to be
They ought to be-
certified, they ought to be knowledgeable,
And they ought to be doing the job.
and doing the job.
They ought to be managing people and not having the situations that we're having.
Yeah,
If you're gonna be in leadership, you gotta lead. It ain't a fun job, but you gotta lead.
And that, at this point, one of the reasons I want to see a new performance appraisal is because we can start looking at what are you required to do, how are you doing it, and what I'm working on now is a system where the supervisor is required to document specifics of how they're doing their job on the appraisal form and create performance improvement plans every time the appraisal's done.
And have we looked into safety? What are we, because we had all this issue with safety, are we looking into hire somebody to do to go around and check everybody's safety and make sure that we're doing the right
That's
things?
what a public works director would be required.
So is
to
he
do.
gonna have some experience with safety? And that's on the
I'll have to go
job
back and look.
description?
I think it is.
Well, it should be, if that's what we're gonna want him to
If
do.
we can modify that tomorrow if we have to. It's
Well, then I
not
think
gonna
we
be-
should, because we wanna make sure we have somebody that if you're gonna have him do that, then he better have some knowledge of safety, especially with all the issues we're having right now.
So,
If they're applying at that level, that ought to be a given.
so my question is, should we update the posting and say minimum requirements, Class C license, preferred license, A or B, whichever, and then maybe add to it the fact board is going to be responsible for being the safety coordinator for the city. Are y'all okay with that?
I'm okay with that as well, but, you know, we're gonna have these evaluations on the employees. I think we need to start with the supervisors, because they're the ones who,
And the
Need to
supervisor
be.
appraisal need to be a little bit more strong
yes.
than the employee appraisal. I mean,
Like I say, I'll bring y'all a draft probably in 2 weeks, and then let y'all look at it and talk about it, move forward from there and see what you do.
Hey, I'm kind of confused. Last week or last meeting, we were sat here and told 10 times that there was no appraisal. Is there an appraisal or is there not?
I found a document. I cannot find any evidence that the city has ever used it.
well, it should be. When we
used
got
it.
ready to use one for appraising the city manager, doing the appraisal on the city manager, the police chief, there was a document that was sent to us that I was assuming that was a document that the city had used before, that we used to do that appraisal with.
But I think that was more
Yeah.
specifically for a city manager and police chief position, because that was,
But that would also work for the supervisor.
Not that
not
particular-
that one,
not
because it
that
had to
one.
deal with how you work with the public, how
Yeah.
well you implement projects within your community. I mean, that was very specific to a high-end supervisor, or a high-up supervisor versus,
So some adjustments would need to be made.
I would, it needed to be updated, because
It's a whole new,
it also said him for city manager, and obviously we had a her, or female.
And so each department though, I think their evaluation is gonna be a little different.
Mhm.
Because
Well-
I don't think they should be all, the same if, one guy is doing something totally different.
You can have a system that each department customizes to itself based on the job descriptions and based on the job functions that you're requiring people to do. And that's what I'm looking at.
Any other discussion?
just one more thing on the salaries, and I'm specifically department heads, and I found out that they're not doing their own reports.
They're not.
I think they need to be doing their own reports. If we're paying them $50,000, $60,000, I think they can be doing their own reports.
Well, the reality is, we're paying that person to supervise other people. So whatever task they choose to task somebody else with, that's part of being that supervisor.
Well,
They're
also-
still held accountable
Was it-
for that report, whether they wrote it or they had somebody else write it. They're still held accountable for that report, good, bad, or indifferent. If it ain't done, it's on them.
Well, I wouldn't want anybody else to be doing my reports.
But
I
that's
just,
a
it's part of
point.
the job.
Right.
It's part of the administrative. You have to know the administrative side, and you ought to know the actual job.
I agree, but you still, you are still responsible for dictating who does what.
Well,
If I
most
could-
of these
if I
people
could
are gonna
police
be out in
department,
the,
Chief could say, tell me how many accidents we had this month. He should compile an
well, yeah,
information for you.
that, and somebody else, I get that, but I'm thinking, I'd like to see that. We're paying a lot of money in salaries, paying a lot of money. Some people aren't making a lot of money.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to move over to section 510.04, page 9.
What department is
The fire department. Dusty,
This one we have
can you step up real quick, Dusty?
Huh?
Can you step up here real quick, please?
Okay.
Page 9. It would be number 510.04, elected officials. We moved it up- Yeah, volunteers. We moved it to 20,000, it's still set at 20,000, right?
Yes.
Was there anything else that y'all possibly might need with this budget?
Well, the notes, Juan was able to take, that was the only adjustment that I seen.
Okay.
It's up from 18 to 20.
We'll go ahead and pass this, make sure everything you need in there is good to go. Or any concerns you might see?
No, nothing raised after all. They went through it all, so
Okay.
the only change I'd seen was the added to 2,000 on the elected officials, volunteers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done. Just want to make sure.
I'm just looking at the end of this. I know we've been talking and we've been going and we've been doing all this and, you know, our revenue, we're at 5 million right from last year. And we're going up to 7 million. Is there anything in this budget? I know there's a lot of projects going on. Is there anything that we can pull back from? Because that's $2 million more we're gonna have to put in here.
Is that the capital improvement?
That's the revenues page. That's the last page. Is there anything that we can postpone that we can kind of pull this back a little bit? That's a lot. That's $2 million. It scares me.
When we asked the engineer about that, because we thought the same thing when we saw it, and he said that all the projects that we have in the capital improvement are projects that are TCQ projects.
They're, from my understanding, they're holding back the fines as long as we move forward with the projects.
And the fines can be greater than $2 million if we don't get the projects done. And the fines, once they're issued, we gotta pay.
And some
Just
of
know-
them are in construction.
Anything else that you can see in here?
All of those projects won't be completed in 1 year in any budget. I don't care how many they put in there, they're not gonna be. It's too much time. It takes too much time to do all those. It's a waste.
And that's what happened this fiscal year. A lot of the projects from this year are being carried over because they weren't completed either.
It doesn't mean the money won't be spent. That's why I'm concerned. It's so high, there's no way you can do 4 or 5 projects in 1 year. There's absolutely no way.
So my problem is gonna be so this money that's budgeted for all these projects, if it doesn't get used because they didn't start that one because they're still working on another one, what happens to that money?
Unless it starts September 30th of 2020, then that money can still be
Technically can
expended.
be encumbered if we have to start the project. But I will tell you that I have an extremely positive meeting with TCEQ, and we're in good shape with them right now, so we've got some time to work with the timeline for these projects.
And so, and with all this in our new water line and all that's going on, is that in this?
The new water line is not in there.
The new water line
It's not in there?
is,
No, we don't even have.
We don't-
We don't have any
That's
way of
what I'm
putting a
wondering.
number.
we
Yeah,
can't
it's
talk
huge.
about that yet because we don't have an agreement yet.
But we do have the land lease though.
No.
Okay, then we have to pull back
Well,
some of this guy's.
Let me, which water line are we talking
No,
about?
I'm talking about the land lease with the property owner where we're
We do
pulling the
have
water.
We do have that.
We do have that.
And
And we have
that payment is in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was
Not
thinking about
the
it.
transmission line. Yes.
Yeah.
But all that other stuff is not in here yet.
No.
No,
Yep. That will be bonded.
that'll be a bonded project that we will make payments on. over
Right,
a
we're
20-year
bonding this
period of
project,
time.
so we're gonna have to have money in the bank to make this bonded, but we're pulling $2 million more out of the bank to cover for next year. And then we have these bonds come in, and, yeah, I understand, but this is scary to know that that much more. I mean, is there anything else, looking at this, anything else that you guys can see that we can pull back on before we decide on this, because that's a lot of money. I don't wanna go broke. I know Kenedy, people in Kenedy don't want us to be broke.
I will tell you that I know we had put a certain amount that we would have to take out the utility surplus. Luckily, we did not have to take any money out of the utility surplus this budget. We had enough revenue to cover everything that we did.
It was 5 million last year. Everybody said this is a one-time deal. This year it's 7. Next year it's gonna be 9. You're gonna be hit with a monster payment from your other stuff, and our revenues are not increasing. We either cut something out of that budget, or we come up with some revenue streams right this minute. I don't know what else to do, but I'm not the budget officer. I'm just expressing my concerns. He's the budget officer.
Because more money we keep pulling out of here, more money we keep pulling, 2 million here, 2 million, and what's gonna happen? Then we're gonna raise the water rate, because people don't wanna hear that.
It's gonna go through the roof in 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Unbelievably high. There's no other way to get it. We're working on one other thing to generate some more money through sewer and water, possibly a second option, but that's it.
But understand, without sewer and water, we get no more business.
I agree.
Well, we can't be a municipality if we're not producing sewer and water.
Exactly.
I know, I'm
That's a
just
must.
No,
making sure we know that we're pulling $2 million more out of the budget. I mean, you know, out of our, I'm just saying, guys, because, I don't know.
our revenue stream, will it cover the 7? Or we have to?
Yes, we have it, well, that,
It's a
we.
balanced budget.
well,
Okay,
yeah,
so that's the point I'm making. We have a revenue stream that generates the amount of money that we have on the budget to use. We're not writing a budget that says that $2 million, we gotta come up with it from somewhere. It's there.
We have to have
the
We have to
stream
have a
of
balanced
revenue.
And there's some left to, on the plus side, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So we have the money,
Yes.
and the money is showing up. And that $2 million difference that we're talking about, we've already done the necessary things for that money to be here.
That's true, but remember, things happen, and we get another fine, or something else, and then something else happens, and here we are doing one, or doing, it's just,
The
it's
largest fine
scary.
I've seen here is $58,000 in 1 month. That's the largest fine I've seen. So when we're talking about, when we get fined, instead of paying the fine, we're putting the money into the program, we're not talking about $2 million. We're talking about $58,000 is the highest fine I've seen. I don't know if you've seen a
They
higher
hadn't-
fine, but I've only seen a $58,000.
That's the only one we had to.
That's the only
Deal.
one we had to deal
Right.
with.
The rest of them, they gave us grace to say, use your money to get it fixed,
Right.
so we don't have to fine you. They can fine us any amount of money they want to, especially if it looks like we are being negligent in our pursuit of taking care of the things that we supposed to be taking care of, that we have been very lax on for the last 15 years.
Yes.
And I think that was the issue.
Right.
If you're showing us improvement, keep going. And do what you're doing. We're gonna hold off on the fines.
I mean, I'm not looking at this saying, wow, we got all this money to do all this stuff with. This is a necessary thing that we have backed away from and backed away from. Well, now the wall is here and we can't go any further. We either fix it or we take a chance of them saying, this facility is being shut down. You have no water.
You know, further, that's why when you were trying to take away from Alon's budget, it didn't seem to make any sense. That's why whatever the sewer and water request, I say we try to meet their needs as much as possible, because without them, everything shuts down. Then we're
That's
gonna be in a
right.
big old war to hurt.
But I think we've done everything.
Yeah, we
We've
have.
given them everything.
Yeah, we have. That's what I'm saying. We're at $7 million. We have revenue that will cover that $7 million. And we just need to be very proactive and utilize it carefully and stay within the budget. And, you know, we know there's gonna be some stuff that come up, but we have enough in the surplus, because this is not tying up any of the surplus. This is just what we have created that we're using. That's all we're doing, using what we've already created.
So nothing's coming out of surplus?
Yes, there is.
$7 million.
What's coming out?
I don't have a.
That's what I'm concerned
That's
with.
like a school.
That's the last one.
So the capital improvement, we have, check from the utility surplus fund. We have $1,708,000 coming out of there. From the capital improvement surplus, we have $3,365,255.
And that's money we already have it.
Right.
We already have that money, money we did not use,
And the $3 million is actually money that was not used in this budget,
right,
and we're just bringing it.
right. So that's not new money. That's money that's already there.
It's in the account.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Again, just don't do any of those raises until we've made a decision of what we want to do. I know it's in there, but please.
And as the budget officer, you're confident in that budget? Okay.
I think we can do what has to be done with this budget.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call roll. Oh, yes, make a motion, what you guys want to do, what you want to include and all that.
I make a motion that we approve this budget with the changes that we've made for fiscal year 2019, 2020.
I'll second it.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 7, consideration of possible action in regard to ordinance number 19-19, an ordinance levying ad valorem property tax for the use and support of the municipal government of the city of Kenedy, Texas for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, providing for operations and maintenance and debt service levies, and providing when taxes shall become delinquent if not paid. Any movement?
I'll make a motion to discuss item number 7.
Second.
Discussion.
We're just approving those tax rates, correct?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call it.
Make a motion to take action on item number 7, that we approve ordinance 19-9 for the levy of Avalon property taxes for the use and support of municipal government in the city of Kenedy, Texas, 2019-2020 fiscal year, providing for operation and maintenance and debt service levy, and providing when tax shall become delinquent if not paid.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Should we capture in the motion the tax rates? Okay, I just didn't know if you wanted to say it out loud.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call roll.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 8, consideration of possible action in regard to Resolution 1921, authorizing and approving the Kenedy 4B Corporation 2019-2020 fiscal budget in accordance with Texas Local Government Code, Section 501.073A. Any movement?
I'll make a motion, we consider agenda item number 8.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
This is just us approving 4B's budget.
Yes.
Will it be here?
We got a copy of it.
But it's confident, this is a confident budget for y'all, you're good with this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sure.
Is there,
Our oil, the prediction on the oil sales tax and everything, it will be pretty good. And we'll have enough money there. Plus, we move our money, excess money to the Texas savings deal where we're getting a whole lot more interest.
Okay.
and just so everybody knows, the revenues they're bringing, their revenue projections are higher than what their total expenses are.
Yes, the revenues are a whole lot higher than what we budgeted for.
Any other discussion?
The total expense budget for 4B is $1,768,500. I'll make a motion, we approve the 4B budget.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll, please.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding the 2019 Fall Festival at Our Lady Queen of Peace Catholic Church and requested City of Kenedy assistance. Any movement?
Make a motion, we discuss item number 9.
And I'll second that.
Discussion.
We had one public comments for this item.
I'm sorry?
Claire Ramos, did you, she wanted to make a public?
Public comments, okay.
I wanted to
Sorry, I can
address,
ask about any of them.
I don't know if I have to come up here or not, but I did want to address that because it just says here, discussion and possible action regarding the festival, and that they were requesting for the City of Kenedy assistance, and I'm wanting to know what kind of assistance they're requesting. And what is all of this all about, that agenda item?
Good question.
That was-
Because I had come in as you heard my public comments about the concerns about not having the certificate of occupancy plus all of the safety hazards that are there. So I need some clarification as to what they are requesting. And I think I have the right to know.
Well, we're gonna ask that same question, Claire, so.
Oh, okay. So who are you gonna ask it from?
Hopefully there's somebody here from the church that can answer it for us, because our question is the same thing, is City of Kennedy's assistance. So if we're gonna give assistance, we need to know what kind of assistance they're asking
Right,
for.
because as I stated before, that I did speak to, can I get his name so I don't want to get it wrong? Hold on, just a minute. This is the person I spoke to. Oh, my bad. Hold on. Logan Underbound. And as I stated before in my public comments, that he was not aware about this Jamaica taking place. Okay, they didn't even know it was happening this weekend, because they knew that for a fact that the building was not going to be ready. So
Logan is with,
I'm sorry?
Logan is
With the Archdiocese of San Antonio, and they're over the Our Lady of Peace.
Okay.
Okay, and he's the one that deals with the construction. Okay, he's the construction guy.
Now, do you attend that church? So,
I have, yes.
okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I am a
'Cause
Catholic.
we really need somebody from that church that's on that committee that can speak to us about what it is they're looking for.
Another question is, how did that get on the agenda? Who requested to have that on the agenda? Because I've requested so many times to have
You can't
someone.
ask the council questions, you could just address the council, but you're gonna have to respond.
I
Okay.
can say there's been people asking about this, but the Kennedy assistance, I'm guessing would be,
We can't guess. It's trying to be somebody from the church.
If you allow the
If
staff
she'll
to
sit down
present.
and then let us proceed, then we
Yes.
can ask the
Okay.
necessary questions so we can see if we can figure out what it is they want.
Okay,
And go from
and I
there.
do have a number for Logan Underbound, if anybody would like it from the council, I'll be more than glad to share it. If you need to speak to him, because like I said, he's very concerned about what's going on. He's still waiting on all the proper paperwork, and he says that when he first came to the meeting, there was no paperwork, no paper trail of any kind. No inspections, no reports of any kind, no permits, and so they've been sitting back waiting, and the work still continues to be done, and so the council needs to be made aware of all of this.
Anyone else? Okay, so what is the question?
We don't know the person, but they're
I
asking for
think
assistance.
what they're asking for is for us to approve a temporary certificate of occupancy.
Where did we get that information?
That's just what I've been told, but nobody from the church has talked to me.
So how did this item get on the agenda then?
Council's going to let it place it on the agenda.
we can talk about it, but do we ever get an assistant, I mean, for
We have,
precise
yeah,
assistant for what they're asking for?
Generally, with these type of matters, a temporary, I guess, occupancy permit is allowed, but conditionally, you have to have someone that does a fire watch. Someone who's going to be there with a radio, and it's my understanding that the volunteer fire department's going to be there with 5 personnel. And as long as they monitor the building and have walkie-talkies to alert the people, then that's how it's been done in other cities before.
You said that was your understanding?
Yes, that is my
Where
understanding.
did you get that information?
With our firm, that's how we've handled this type of situation.
Okay, that's not Kennedy. They didn't ask for that specifically, is what I guess.
No, I do not know if they asked
Okay.
that specifically.
So you said that there is 5 firefighters from Kennedy going to be there, or that's what they did somewhere
I
else?
think at the last meeting, it may have been brought up, or that the that the volunteer fire department and Councilman Briones, you could add to this if that was the correct assumption or the correct, I guess, act that the volunteer fire department is going to do.
Yes.
1 year ago, this was brought up right here in this room. We discussed it and we all said, hey, we're gonna get the place done. It's a year later and we're in the same situation. I don't wanna give the church a temporary fix. I want them to actually be fixed.
But a year.
But they have done, from last year to this year, they have done the stuff that they were supposed to do. The water tank that they have been waiting on is there now, and that was the biggest piece because there was not enough water pressure to run the sprinkler system. So the church they've put the lines in and done everything to tie into the tank that they were waiting on. They couldn't do anything else without the tank. The tank has arrived, and it's my understanding that they have tied into the tank.
Yes, and as far as the well, if I'm correct on that, that is a registered well. The only thing that well runs is the yard sprinkler system, and it will feed the fire suppression tank.
Right.
The rest of the buildings are on city water.
But when you say, if I understand correctly, is there somebody from the water folks that's out there that can tell us how these wells work as far as why that water is on the top of it? Is that a lubrication? That's what I was told?
Lubrication for the well?
Yeah.
That wet well, it's gotta have lubrication one way or another.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That when somebody told me one of our wells was leaking, I went out there to look at it, it wasn't leaking, it was just, that's the way that well pump lubricates itself. So I don't know if this well it is water. It's a water that they use for.
Can you come in here and explain that? What do you?
His wells are different than the well.
Right, that's what I say. Patrick would have to tell us, or somebody from the church would have to tell us if that's truly the case or what that water is.
It's gonna depend on what kind of well they got. If they got
Right.
a submersible or they got a turbine pump, 9-shaft pump.
Right.
I haven't seen it, so
I haven't either.
if it's submersible, it shouldn't be leaking on top.
Right.
If it's a submersible pump.
I have pictures on my phone.
Does anybody know what we have?
Excuse me, though.
Does anybody know? Does anybody know what? Do you know anything about the well out there?
You talking to me?
No, Patrick.
From the church.
All I know, the well was dug here several years back to do the sprinkler system for the yard and whatnot. And due to the city wasn't able to supply water in the past, we were going to use that well to use it for the tank, to supply the water for the tank. If and ever we need to use the sprinkler system, that we be able to pump it up there faster. Or is the well that goes itself and a leak there? If there is, I'm not, I mean, she says it is, I'm not.
No, I have not, but tomorrow is scheduled for a CSI that will determine if there's any cross-contaminations from the well to the city water. Make sure all the backflow devices are done. I have the gentleman coming in tomorrow, the licensed inspector. He'll be here about 8:30 in the morning to go there and inspect the place.
So it's never been inspected before? Is that gonna be the first time?
As far as I'm aware, I'm just getting a hold of everything. As far as I know, yes, ma'am. As of now, the knowledge I have, yes.
If it is a certified well, at some point it was inspected for the certification. This inspection is to guarantee that that system is not tied in any way to our municipal water system, so there can be no cross-contamination of that kind.
I have a question. Because I've seen this festival advertised and everything, so why would they advertise it being in that facility if knowing that it's not ready, or knowing that it wasn't ready? How did you know it was going to be ready?
We were planning this all year. Like I said, this is the first time again, me and my wife were on the head of the organization there and whatnot, but it was, the plans were, early this year, things were put in order and stuff, and I think the sprinkler system people and stuff was ready back in March, and we were supposed to have this here in February, in July, and then they said for sure by September the 4th. was a number that's coming to my head that was supposed to be done, so we can't sit back and, I mean, we planned for this to be here. I mean, we had to make plans as time went along to have this function there. I mean, it was more or less should have been there, and it just were due to whatever
What was
circumstance.
causing the tank delay? The tank delay?
I have no idea. It'd be something to be discussed with the sprinkler system people. So.
My only concern would be is the safety of the people, first and foremost. And I mean, if
My thing is, you said there's gonna be 5 firefighters out there. Are they out there volunteering
I
and?
think that was a
Yeah,
suggestion.
yeah.
Well, no, we will.
This is Councilman Briones'
We
agenda
will.
item, so I think he should.
At the picnic, the evening, they barbecue, get everything ready for the next day. There are firefighters that do partake in the barbecuing.
So how are they gonna be watching the building to make sure everything's okay if they're participating in
Well,
barbecue?
because the barbecue pit's not too far away. It stopped from right here to the other side of our lawn there. So if you can't watch from there to there, I mean, on a normal basis,
But he's gonna be inside looking at the building to make sure, and that's what I'm saying. There's not gonna be a firefighter walking around to make sure everything's okay. They're gonna be busy doing their other things and cooking and doing whatever they're doing. They're not necessarily there to watch the building. They're there because they're participating. So that doesn't mean that there's gonna be 5 firefighters on a fire watch or a fire safety watch, because that's not true. They're gonna be doing what they're doing, their barbecue cook-off.
And there has to be a monitor.
Joel,
Yes, sir.
what are we missing that's required by law?
They have pretty much, as of now, have everything up to date on what they need to do.
I mean, what do they not
The
have?
sprinkler system has to be completed, third-party inspection has to be done before any certificate can be handed out on my part.
Is it prohibited by law to occupy a building that requires a sprinkler system that's not functioning?
By law, yes, sir, I cannot write one out.
Okay, I want the church to get what they need, but I'll never ask this council to break the law, ever.
And the archdiocese as well. They've even said that they won't let them open. So somebody from the parish needs to contact the archdiocese as well. And I think the council needs to recommend that.
If they pass the CSI tomorrow morning, they have completed all the requirements to get a certificate of occupancy before Saturday.
But the
They still
tank's
have to
not
have
up.
the archdiocese.
If they can finish their sprinkler system and have it inspected, and it passes, and the CSI passes tomorrow, then they are valid to have their
Are
certificate
they
of
working
occupancy.
on it now?
They are.
so then that wouldn't be breaking the law, correct? They will be
Yes.
able to occupy it and have that
If
CSI.
everything passes, yes, sir.
And technically, it's not breaking the law by having a discussion.
So could
Thank
we,
you.
Can we capture that in an agenda? Is that something the council
That's
would
not
like to
something,
consider?
that's not even something we would have to, we don't
That's
have
state
any,
law.
we don't have any say in that.
That's
And-
state
and-
law. We can
Federal law,
discuss
there's
it.
nothing we
And,
can
and
do
this,
about that.
this
So this-
line
this-
item is just a discussion item. There's no ruling for us to make.
Yes.
Well, it's a
Does Kenedy have a
discussion.
certified inspector?
It's already set. The certified inspector will
It's
be
coming
there
in
tomorrow
tomorrow
morning.
So then it's more or less than just
Once that
making
happens,
sure.
and if you can give them the occupancy, then they can
If
have
they
their
pass
festival.
the CSI and the sprinkler system comes back from the third party, okay, and their alarm system, yes, I can. They're
Keyword
ready
is,
for it.
is if.
Is there a Philip
they
Richards?
don't.
The sprinkler system, I can guarantee you, it's not gonna be done by Friday. It's unheard of. So to try to get this council to believe that there's a possibility that it would, and that the city's gonna issue them a certificate of occupancy, we're prohibited from issuing a certificate of occupancy if the building requires a sprinkler system.
No, I can't permit one. It's not in the state.
Right.
I think, Mayor, I think the sprinkler system is complete.
It's
All that has
Only
to
thing
be
that has to
done
be
Maybe
done
it's
is
a
the
tight
water
end.
source
to the tank.
for the
It has to be
sprinkler
That's
system.
it.
Yeah, and then
Be
be
inspected.
inspected.
Yeah, the sprinkler system is in.
I understand that, but for us to say, and it was just said, we're gonna give them a CSI, we're gonna perform a CSI and give them a certificate of
If they
occupancy,
do.
and then if they have it, then it's legal to occupy. It's
No,
not.
They have to have those two things. They have to have the CSI has to pass, and the sprinkler system has to be hooked up and inspected and passed.
And the
If
fire
those
alarm?
two things happen,
That's all.
and the alarm, if those two things, three things happen,
3 things.
they get one.
And it's by, it won't be,
It
be an
won't be an
actual
actual
There'll-
act of
there'll be
council. We won't have anything to do with it. It'll
Yeah.
be, that's his job.
Contamination device.
Yeah, once he issue that, they can do whatever they want to that building. The building is clean at that point.
So what is the question? What assistance are we looking for? What is the church looking for from the city council as far as assistance?
Brandon's
That's,
working on
that's,
the,
that's what the honest is.
I would guess that there would be, I mean, I don't, they were requesting perhaps maybe a fire truck with fire, if they could get firefighters there, just to have it there. It won't be totally occupied at the whole time. If a call got called and it had to be used, they would be able to take it.
Write an
Yeah,
agreement and bring it to the city council, Brandon.
But once we do that, I mean, anybody else that comes and asks for help, we're gonna have to.
Exactly, but every Friday night, there's, at the high school, out there blasting their sirens for the football team, which is great because they're supporting the team, but technically, it's already being done.
But I don't,
if they
I think
wanna do
that,
that,
yeah, I think that's just kind of on their own time. And
I
so,
don't know, I don't think
Yeah.
that's,
Well, if we can get some firefighters, would that be a problem?
they have to pass their inspection. The three things that they said they need, the sprinkler, the alarm, and the CSI, right, those are the three things. If they pass it, then they get a certificate that they can use the building, plain and simple. There's not anything else we can do
Yeah.
about it. If they don't get that and pass, they can't use the building. That's the bottom line.
well, and the alarm's already passed, right?
No.
No.
There-
So they have to
the-
pass
the-
all
The
three.
sprinkler system isn't part of the alarm. That's
Oh,
all that
okay.
is, maybe signal, yes.
It's all-
And the cross-contamination device.
That is the CSI, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So really, there's not anything for us to give
City can-
assistance to or to approve because it's not in our hands, it's on the inspection and them doing the inspection and whatever happens there is, right, then you can use the building if you get your certificate.
It's funny how it passed on to the agenda.
And the council can just pass on the item.
Take no action.
Any other discussion on item number 9? Okay, does anybody want to do anything on item number 9?
Make a motion, we take no action on item number 9.
I'll second that.
Sounds good.
Counselor Davis?
Yes.
Counselor Lynch?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
You know, I should have asked this before we ended that subject. So what, on the city's end, are we doing everything that we can do to make sure the church is in the right direction? And you're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joel's been working on that pretty nonstop.
They're on track and having everything.
We have found all the
Right way,
documentation that
so.
we need to have.
Okay.
So,
Item number 10,
yeah.
consideration and possible action in regard to a letter of engagement with Buyer and Company for the preparation of the city's 2019 financial audit. Any movement?
Make the motion to consider item number 10 on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
The CSI.
If I might, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Council, the question had come up about adding a second month to their audit. I did talk to the auditors. All the audit will do is look for controls, procedures, and systems. That's what the audit is designed to do, to make sure that we have in place proper systems, proper controls, and proper procedures for dealing with financials of the city. The difference in cost, they said he would look at another month. You're looking at a minimum of $4,000 added to the cost of this audit for one additional month. To do the type of audit where we're looking to make sure there's no fraudulent practices, you're talking there getting into a forensic audit, which will run $80,000 plus probably, if you choose to do that. But that's the answer I got from Wayne at the auditor's office.
So then, if the council wants to approve this, we should probably say something along the lines of going with an additional month for the 2019 financial audit for 2 months, not to exceed maybe $25,000.
I don't think we need to
We
do
don't-
the second off.
What's the second month gonna approve?
Yeah.
It's not gonna do anything.
What
It's not gonna do anything.
we're
He doesn't
talking
see
about
that.
looking for would have to be done in a forensic audit. But we just had a full-fledged audit that we did with bells and whistles. It was a great audit that we just got done. And now these guys come in and they look at how we put the money in the bank, who put it in the bank, what the process is, how do we write the checks, and who signs them? How do we what's the ins and outs of what we do to make sure there's no place in there where you have overlapping, where I took the money and I took it to the bank. So I know how much is supposed to be there. I wrote the deposit slip. I have the ability to change that deposit slip when I get to the bank, and nobody knows that happened because I'm the one that put the information in the checkbook. That's the kind of stuff they're looking for.
I believe we made a mistake on, because it's all about dual controls. We've allowed 2 employees to be on a checking account. And I don't know why the council passed that. I would have never passed that. That was their choice. But that takes away the dual control. Because now we can have checks signed, and legislature has no idea of any checks that are written. They don't have to. And I understand that.
You're talking about the police chief and
In the city manager. Right. They did that years ago, and it didn't work very well. So they had an employee, and the legislature had to sign their checks. That way, when the question arises, who signed the check, what was that check for, legislature was aware of it. But anyway, you want to audit more, we audit more. If you don't, we don't.
I don't think we need to.
Are y'all okay with just doing 1 month?
I'm okay with that.
yeah, I'm okay with doing just a 1 month.
Then I'll make a motion that we engage with the 2019 financial audit with Breyer and Company to not to exceed $18,500.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item 11, consideration and possible action to award bids for utility improvements located at Boo Street, City of Kennedy, Texas, Nueces to Escondido Street. Any movement?
I'll make a motion to consider agenda item number 11.
Second?
I'll second.
Council, this item, we brought this item before y'all. We have the money right now in the budget to do this, to encumber these funds and get it started out of this past year's budget, so it will not impact going forward in next year, and that's why we'd like your approval to move forward with this before the 30th of September.
And there was only 1 bid received?
Yes. To my knowledge, this is it right here.
$109,000.
And what are we going to be doing? 'Cause
This
I don't
is-
know all this.
Sewer
Sewers,
line,
manholes.
manholes, laterals, cleaning up, trench repair, barricades. They're gonna redo the sewer at Boo from Nueces to Escondido.
Okay.
Adolfo?
Okay.
Is it 551, or is only receiving 1 bid? Is that competitive?
That's the only bid you received.
As long as it went out to bid properly.
Can we make sure that happens? That it went out to bid properly?
You make that part of your motion?
Yeah. So then I'll make a motion that we accept and move forward with the where does it go? SLP Enterprises on the Boo Street Sewer Project to come out of this fiscal year's budget, as long as it was properly advertised and bid for.
And I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Kano?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes. Item 12, consideration and possible action in regard to amending the residential utility service application. Any movement?
I'll make a motion to consider agenda item number 12.
Second?
And I'll second.
Discussion?
Okay, what is it that we want to?
Was it the handwritten?
Yes, what we
Okay.
want to add is the handwritten part on page 2 that has people, when they apply for utility service, has them acknowledge that they're responsible for all their water use or any misuse of their account, and it can be criminally charged for tampering or damaging our property, our water meters, or bypassing them, messing with them. Right, and this just is an additional, makes it easier for the county attorney to prosecute if we have a continual problem with the county.
And the other change I would recommend is that the last sentence, separate sentence, understanding the utility agreement policy, just scratch the last two words, just understanding the utility application.
Application.
And Jennifer feels confident about prosecuting this with this verbiage?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If there's no discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wood?
We still need to make a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion that we take action on item 11 and that we make the necessary changes.
12.
Item 12. Yeah, item 12 on residential utility service application, and we make the necessary changes that's been requested.
I'll second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wood?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas? Yes. Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All agreed.
Motion passes. Item 13, consideration and possible action in regard to amending ordinance 18-1, an ordinance amending the designated truck route of the city of Kennedy, Texas, amending section 82-242 of the Code of Ordinances. Any movement?
I'll make a motion we consider agenda item number 13.
And I'll second that.
Discussion?
Chief,
That's yours.
you want to talk about this?
Yes.
The truck route.
So this was actually brought to us by TxDOT. Their permit people were reviewing our ordinance and they noticed a discrepancy. It says going to instead of from, or the other way around, I forget. Basically, we had the wrong direction on coming in on 72. So we need to change that. Oh, I'm sorry.
It was 181 and not 70.
Oh, it says 181 and not 72, right. So we need to change that one line, right?
Okay, any other discussion? No? If there's no other discussion, please call.
I'll make a motion that we update ordinance 8-1.
And I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wood?
Yes.
Counselor Sines?
Yes.
Counselor Thomas?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All agreed.
Motion passes. Motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I'm sorry. Chairman.
Yes.
Can I ask one more question about agenda item number 9? I
I'm
know
sorry,
y'all
you
already
can't ask any questions.
agreed.
No, but I'll stay and you can ask me afterwards.
Okay, that's fine.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I'd like to.
Vote meeting is adjourned. Meeting is adjourned. Okay, thank you. Do you want these back?